LAYALI Al Mansouri, Cybersecurity Director at the Communication and Information Technology Regulatory Authority, CITRA of Kuwait, to present the National Cybersecurity Strategy of Kuwait and what has been achieved so far.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you in this event. In this presentation, I will highlight cyber risk targeting our region with a brief about the National Cyber Security Strategy for the State of Kuwait and what we have completed so far, as well services and functions are to come while implementing the National Cyber Program. Cyber threats have become more organized because it affects to government entities, private sector, individuals, and impact extends nations. The threat is there that we need to be prepared to promote the security of the national critical infrastructure and information, and identify the principles and actions to be taken and needed to deal with cyber threats. Cyber threats become an important topic which needs our alert in protecting our national infrastructure. Here in this slide, the slide showing the top 20 groups, cyber groups targeting the region. We are receiving threat intelligence in a periodic way that have identified cyber attack campaigns against Kuwaiti government entities from suspected different espionage actors. These groups use malware to target and compromise organizations, some of which has been uploaded to public malware repositories. Initial analysis also indicate that the actors utilizes spear phishing emails with malicious attachments that contain macros which load the malware. The National Cybersecurity Strategy comes as a response from the Kuwaiti government to the extent of threats and challenges of cyber risk against the institutions and individuals, and to develop the roadmap towards strengthening information security in all its forms, and ensure to harness all the possibilities and take all necessary precautions needed. In the objective one of the strategy, the government provide high attention in empowering the knowledge and education for all segments of society of all the cybersecurity risk they are exposed to, and the required protection training tools and techniques needed to protect the internet-connected personal and financial information. While in the objective two, the government realized the importance of being proactive in identifying and analyzing the cyber threats and risk, and accordingly develop the appropriate means of proactive defenses, mitigation strategies, and continuous monitoring and incident response. While in objective 3, and because we believe that the prior knowledge of any cyber threat, its nature and target considered an important part of the prevention practice and mitigation of the impact. The government to promote the essential prevention practice which comes by information sharing within the state of Kuwait between government and business sector, and at the same time promote the international cooperation in order to coordinate efforts addressing potential cyber risk. Based on the vision, objectives, and initiatives of the national strategy, we completed our first phase of implementing the cybersecurity strategy. Phase 0 was assessment and setup stage prior implementing the national cyber program. During the stage, we implemented a number of baseline activities compromising of risk management, CNI's maturity assessment, formed partnership between entities and strategic performance, among other foundational tasks. And finally, preparing the National Cybersecurity Center project and the time frame that we need. In phase 0, CITRA cybersecurity project included an initial assessment of the maturity of risk management within CNI stakeholders and of their perception of Kuwait's national cybersecurity maturity. Information was gathered from a total of 43 CNI stakeholders. Based on the responses, it was evident through that there is a wide range of understanding of risk across the different entities. Some were very mature in their responses, some provided limited information, and some provided no information at all. We identified that just under 50% of stakeholders engaged have no effective mechanism in place for the management of, treatment, or investment in the reduction of cyber risk. This poses a risk to the overall cybersecurity of individual stakeholders and their contribution, therefore, the vulnerability service of the state of Kuwait. We identified the most common security risk to the business functions of the stakeholders, including lack of process to ensure the access of users is revoked in a timely manner, legislation or regulation, suitably trained or skilled staff to carry out specific training, cybersecurity awareness, cybersecurity policies, disaster recovery, business continuity planning and capability, controls, regulations, and the physical security controls. While the most common security risk to the stakeholders as a whole, which were identified, included DDoS and related attacks, network and application hacks from external sources, phishing attacks, including spears, phishing and whaling, attacks using APT methods. So, based on the assessment, a high-level entity roadmap of the findings for each entity has been provided, attached with recommendations provided to each entity. At the same time, we defined the success factor to implement the strategy, including the implementation of National Cybersecurity Center that allow the delivery of key functionality and to support controlled growth over the 3-year period. The main functions can be summarized as National Cyber Audit and Risk Assessment, National Threat Intelligence, National Skills Development, National Cyber Policy, National SOC and CERT. All these functions will attend with national protective security advice to the entities based on the combination of best practice and up-to-date threat intelligence. We also developed the National Cybersecurity Framework and Operating Model to establish national responsibilities for delivering the strategy and building the state of Kuwait's cybersecurity maturity. The framework set out structures and governance mechanisms within which key entities work together to achieve national objectives. Under the framework, each entity has up to 3 types of responsibilities. Generic responsibility for building the security and resilience of its own services, network, and infra. Shared responsibilities for working within its cluster. And a specific national responsibility, as some entities are mandated to specific aspects of the national cybersecurity strategy. While the NCSC has three principal responsibilities under the framework, which is supporting national governance, delivering national objectives and the national cybersecurity program, occupying, enabling, and supporting entities within clusters and working groups. We developed the roadmap as a high-level record of key outcomes that it is the responsibility of the entities to implement and resources plans to deliver, and to give estimate target and timeline by which these have to be achieved between the start of the program phase and the end of 2023. The entities have to meet these targets to establish the framework and operating model on a solid footing, realize successive maturity targets. Now for the National Cybersecurity Center, we use a combination of technologies, process, and solutions to monitor, detect, and respond, ensuring that it is keeping pace with the ever-evolving threat posed by global threat actors who are targeting Kuwait and organizations within the country and maximize the chance of detecting cyber attacks before they cause serious harm. The NCC design is informed by best international practice, experience of what has worked in other GCC countries, and the grade and management structures of the Kuwaiti government. And in order to deliver the most effective cybersecurity for Kuwait, the NCSC functions will have to interact seamlessly with each other. While the majority of roles in the NCSC will be filled by solution providers in the early years of operation, it will be replaced with skilled Kuwaiti nationals as soon as they trained. The NCSC will have interactions with a wide range of Kuwaiti organizations and individuals in the course of its operation. These will range from coordinating other threats and SOCs during national level attacks through to providing cyber advice and awareness to members of the public. And one of the critical factors to the success of the National Cybersecurity Center will be its ability to create and maintain effective relationship with similar organizations in a range of allied countries in order to maximize the ability of the NCSC to detect and shut down attacks targeting Kuwait. In 2017, Kuwait ranked 139 out of 165 ITU member countries. Results published this year acknowledge the national effort of the strategy, raising cyber awareness, risk and maturity assessment. These measures contributed to raise Kuwait's rank of 67 from 175 countries. This is a new and large advancement for Kuwait, which jumped 72 spots this year from the previous ranking in 2019. We believe that the successful implementation of the national cybersecurity strategy depends on a trusted relationship, information sharing, and collaborative action by the entities. This includes relationship between the NCSC and entities and among clusters of entities that share common issues and work together to achieve specific objectives. We are looking forward to further national cybersecurity achievement, which will reflect the progress and level of modern Kuwait. Thank you.